Hey everyone, how you going? Today I'm going to give you my top 16 slash undefeated in Swiss deck profile. Super sad that I lost in top 16, but hey, it is what it is. There was a big F up with time rules, which did lose me top 16. They said it was 5, and then it got changed to 15, but we good. Uh, bit annoying, but we good at the end of the day. Yeah, so I played Crimson. Quick shout out to everyone who was down there. The guys I stayed with, Jacob, Joe, and Tyson. Uh, Shout out to Tack. You ran a great event. There was the stuff up, but besides that, the event ran amazingly. Lots of great prizes. Shout out to all the wonderful people that I have only seen online and actually got to meet in person. So all the PX3 boys, Jimmy, Paxton, Wheeler, some of the boys down from Melbourne that I tested with, Ryan, Jason, um, Brewer. Thanks everyone. There's so many more people that I've 100% forgotten to shout out, but another shout out is to the two Americans who stole our, well, I guess the one American who stole our invite, Reetsy. Screw you, we love you, but screw you. And then also to Kintasi for actually making this deck popular and letting me play a deck that wasn't Sin. It was, shout out to everyone. And one more, Alan Liu. Nearly went back to back Liu brothers in our finals, who went to Worlds, but we're proud of you for beating Kintasi and nearly beating Ritzy. Anyway, let's just get into the deck profile. I think I probably had one of the better Crimson lists in there by pure luck for the mirror. I'll go over it later. So it wasn't out of skill that I think I came up with one of the better lists. It was a bit of luck and then knowing how to execute my game plans from that point on forward. But leader, you know what it does. Activate battle, discard Saiyan, draw a card. You can take a life if you want. Awaken when you have 5 more Saiyan cards in your drop. Draw 3 and then untap 1 energy. When you're awakened, on swing, draw 1, untap 1, and then activate battle once per turn. Place up to X cards from under this card into a drop. Your leader gets plus 2k power for each card you discard, and then if you discard a 3 or more, draw 1, untap 1, so that's a once per game effect, which is very strong. We'll go over the best card to put under your leader, which is Videl. So Videl, for 1 energy is a counter attack, which is why we run Videl over the other cards that have the same order. The order is if this guy over here is your leader. I'm actually going to leave him under there so you can see him at all times. If this guy is your leader, you get to place this card from your drop area into your combo area after it's discarded from leader effect if there's no other cards in your combo area. There's like a Trunks that's a counter attack for 2 energy, which has the same order. Something you could think of running because when it's played, it bounces something back to hand with energy cost higher than your opponent's current energy. There is also a Goku Clan play which does bounce like a 6 or less, I think, back to your opponent's hand. So there are options if you would like to look into them. I don't think 4 Videls is 100% right because this auto is insane. So even like upping this to 5 or 6 could be with cards of these orders could be a valuable thing to do. Where's this going to go? This is going to go back here. Next, we're just going to go over some of the Saiyans we discard. 3 Borgos, Barrier, 1 drop that draws a card, so you can just play it for 1 on early turns to draw. So you can, it's more cycle, you can combo away if you want. And then auto, when your opponent switches their energy to active using a counter skill, you can ditch a life and energy of theirs. Pan, 3 pan. When this card is played, draw 1 card. It's a barrier that you can give to your opponent if you want. We don't run the Gohan that wants you to. But the first non-Saiyan of the deck is Piccolo the Infiltrator. This plays pan, so for 1 energy you can activate main, discard this from hand, search your deck for a pan. Or for 2, you can play this card from your hand. It's a 20k deflect dual attack, which is insane. Then on play it has 2 autos. So the first one gives a barrier, second one searches for a pan. A couple important things to go over if you're playing against this mainly. If I tap 2 to play this, there's 2 counter windows basically after this card being played. There's the one that I declare school and before the card's played, and the second once the card is played. It has deflect, so you basically don't want to really do any counter plays. You can freeze a charismatic villain if you want. However, they can respond by giving a barrier. So what you want to do, if you want to kill this with Freezer, is you want to say, no negates in counter window 1, no counter plays in counter window 1, no response in counter window 2, and then the auto opens its own 2 counter plays. So you always say no response in counter window 1, because if you do respond, they're just going to play pan, and then if they say I'm going to play pan, that's when in counter window 2 you charismatic villain. So I guess just a little bit of help if you're a green player to play against it. We had 2 Goku strivings. I was super afraid of red. I thought this entire tournament was going to be red. I didn't think many people were going to swap over to Crimson. I was completely wrong. There were so many Crimson in the room. It was ridiculous. I think we had 7 in top 16. But this card just pretty much auto wins Sin if you're playing it correctly and have the other cards in your deck that should, and can also do a very similar thing to Gogeta. Barrier permanent. If your opponent can't attack with battle cards that energy cost of 2 or less, so they can't attack with Rush Attack Vegeta in both the red decks, as well as Sin can't attack with Nova. So it just severely limits their options. Moving on, we have the one Son Goku and Vegeta Immortal Rivalry. This card I like, but I never played it once. I played a bunch of testing. However, this card I really would like to keep in the main board. However, I could not find. I wasn't prepared enough for the mirror to know which other cards outside of this card to take out. So it was the easiest card for me to take out because it had no obvious position in the deck. However, it is something I would definitely like to leave in. I think it gives you a lot of value in just the mirror matchup. And a lot of different matchups. It's like a great one if you can pitch a card that you can't do anything with, like a negate or something, to get 10k combo power, and then you can also draw a card if you got 3 more cards. So overall, it's a lot of value. I just wasn't prepared enough for the mirror to know what other cards in my deck I was allowed to take out. 3 Goku Black. Speaking of cards I took out in the mirror, I only played with 2 of these in every mirror. I always took one out. The card's really good. I love playing with my Z deck though, because Z deck cards are great. So a lot of the time I wasn't able to use this. That could just be my playstyle. I was probably playing slightly incorrectly by not always having access to this card. But the card's really good for 1 energy, draw 1, bottom deck of 4 or less, and it's a 20k double striker. Mind you, this deck is super awkward to get Z energy in, because your first like 5, you're always just discarding stuff with activate battle to have everything in drop, and then you can start comboing, so you're not going to have this live until like turn 3, turn 4. Earlier if you're playing super aggressive. We had the 2 Baby Golden Avengers. This was the second MVP of the deck, so there was 2. This was number 2. It's the counter of the deck. Not too much to go into besides that. We had the 2 Sun Gohan Power Reclaimed. I do think you play 3. I think both autos are really good. Let's activate battle for one of them. You can play around it a bit. There's a way to play around it that I will talk about later. But the important thing about it to know for now is whenever I thought I had a really good chance to play it, it wasn't in hand. And when it was in hand, it wasn't a good chance to play it. So it was super unfortunate. I would like a 3rd for a bit of consistency, and so I can use each of the effects without feeling bad. 2 Dark Broly Overwhelms, best Overwhelm in the deck because we don't have a way to get rid of blocking negates, and this gets rid of blocking negates. Main reason you run this over Vegeta. Moving on, we have the 3 Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Gokus. Super good card. When attacks, draw 1. We like it. 2 Boom Unisons. This is going to be the start of my Unison rants. I don't like Unisons for blue in this deck. In mirrors mainly, like in other matchups, sure, like against yellow and stuff like that, it's fine. But green's just going to kill it. Red's just going to neg it. Yellow doesn't really exist at the moment, and blue's just going to tap 2 for Piccolo, move 2 markers, tap 1 for a Goku Black, force you to use your auto and then swing lead. So yeah, it's 3 of their energy for 3 of your energy, except they have 2 cards on board that you now have to deal with by swinging into them, and they can combo out of it, and they can keep their board and you can't. And for me, it's just not worth it necessarily. I think it's a good card. It's definitely not worth it for the fact just to have to use this for God Sealing purposes. I think it's worth it to tap 2 to play, and then have it as they're gonna do 4 damage to this. But for God Sealing purposes, it's probably not the best Unison to run, so they can just keep swinging at it. If you have a couple negates, sure, it's okay, but you need like against a blue, you need basically three negates because you need to negate the Goku Black and one of the Piccolo Unison swings, and even then they can still get down below too. Two God Sealing, one of the worst cards in the deck. I played it against Kantasi to bounce a Beerus, which was kind of important in the mirror, but that was basically it. But Kantasi also just wasn't focusing my Unison, which overall lost him the game. You just kind of have to clear Unisons in the mirror, and I will go over which Unison I think is the best one to run later. Two Black Smokes. We know what that does. Best card in the new set. Just runs two over the main. Two Shins. Once again, I was scared of red, and this is the best card against red. Because it stops if you're going second into SS4, it stops their 8 drop, so you can just do this for one. And then if you have Striving out, they're pretty screwed for a turn. And into Sin, similar thing. One Champa. I think I played it once or twice. You can't just run Champa. It's a semi-aggressive deck, so Champa's good. 3 Virus Ball. Super good. It's a pseudo combo. Doesn't go to Z energy, but has super cool effects added with it. I'm not going to go too much over the cards that we already know. 2 Dirty Burst. Yeah, cool. Does really well to red. 3 Bean. Didn't run the 4th Bean because the card's offensively dead, and we liked a bit of offense. But defensively is a pretty good card. 3D Magics. Cool. You don't run 4 because Mirror is super prevalent at the moment, and Borgos exists in Mirror. 2 UIs. This one could go up to 3 because it's either a 0-15 on your opponent's turn as long as you have one engine active, kind of like Power Super Saiyans. Or defensively or offensively, it's a 15 to draw one, which is super good. Super combos: 3 Vegeta, 1 Zeno. We all know what super combos do. And Beast Gohan is our secret rare. So that's super quickly going over the main board. I will come back and talk about stuff later, and it'll make more sense then. So for our Z deck, we started off with 2 Beerus. Once again, Z deck's pretty simple. Beerus is something that you'll have to play into red. You'll probably have to like tap 2, and then because they have Will Fang, you have to activate main straight away and swing, and then they're gonna Will Fang it. It's like tap 4 to get rid of the 8 drop. It's kind of neg, but it is what it is. 1 Goku. Playing SS4, I think I ripped 5 cards out of my opponent's hand when they were playing SS4. It's a good card. Cell. One of the best Blue Z battle cards. Just swallows their board out of 5 or less, which is lovely. Great against SS4, great against Sin. Not as good into the mirror, because most of the cards in the mirror have barrier. But still pretty good. Finally, we've got 2 more. We have this Goku. I didn't play this Goku once, so I'm not going to talk about it. And then we had Vegito. I think I played Vegito once into Gamma. It was cool. It did its job. But 5 energy is so much in this deck. Like, 5 energy for just ripping 1 card out of their hand. It's like, and it's a barrier blocker. It's nice, but other decks run smoke. It's like, I don't know. I think it's probably best against green because you, as saw in the finals, you tap 5, you swing, you say you can't dormant, which is pretty big, and then it restands. It's a barrier blocker. Yes, I can get rid of it, but a bottom deck's a card, and they get rid of 1 from hand. So that's that. We're going to go into the sideboard here. My sideboard's the wrong way around, I believe, so I'm going to reorder it and see how it goes. Alright, so first of all, sideboard, I'm just going to go over these 6 cards first before I go into the Deborah. These 6 cards are simply just ratio fixing. It was best of 1 pre-side, so I didn't know what I wanted in my main. I spent more time focusing on my 70 cards to make sure I got top 16 than I did on my 55 card main board, and I think that's the correct way to go about it for a pre-side event. Is having the best 70, 69, however many cards you're running in your deck, or like 15 side plus your main deck, rather than having the perfect main board. Yeah, so that was ratio fixing. They worked. I wouldn't run God Sealing anymore. Every other card had been brought in though throughout the day and did their job, which was cool. Actually, I don't know if I brought Shin in because I didn't play any Red Sin, but you kind of just have to respect Red Sin. Moving on. Oh, not moving on. 2 Deborahs. I hate losing a green. I've lost a green before in the past and it feels really bad. So we always run Deborahs. It's just something I do. Whether it's correct or not, Deborah's always going to be on my side. The one Intoxicated by Justice. Because people were running Borgos, I wanted a way to remove Borgos on my opponent's turn for cheap while still doing something else. And this is the best way to do it. It's just intoxicated, bottom deck it. Funny thing you can do into Sin if they're silly. You can go, alright, I'm gonna negate your. Just say they're on 3 life and they haven't seen awakened, or they're on 4 life or something, and you're afraid they're gonna tap 1 for Vegeta. Ideally, they're on 3 life and they've already played a Vegeta. And basically, if they miss sequence, you can punish it by tapping 1 for Intoxicated, putting a Haze or Shenron or something like that into say, I want to choose that to put it into your life, and they put it into your life and you're one on tap 1. They have to massively miss sequence for that because they also don't have to put it into their life if they don't want to. So, just a fun card that I wanted to rule shock people on if it came up. Krillin the Cunning. Devol won Nats with Goku Secret Rare, so I was assuming more people would be on it. Spoiler alert, they weren't. They were only on Beasthan, but it was there because I respected it. One Quoits. Quoitsukai, there's yellow decks in format, there's Gamma in format, super good card just to those decks in general. Two Begrudging Allies, there's Gamma in format, there's yellow in format. Basically same thing as Quoitsukai, except this doesn't tax. This is responsive, where Quoitsukai isn't. I played Begrudging once or twice. It's something you can bring into the mirror to stop Beerus's, which is cool. But yeah, that's Begrudging Allies. And then the MVP of the deck is the 2 Baby Innocents. So I was really conflicted throughout the week on my Unison choice. I initially started with 3 Tapions because that's what Devol ran. I messaged Devol and I asked him about it, and he said Tapion is 100% the choice. So I played Tapion, and then I played into Blue Beerus at my locals on Thursday night, so the day before I was leaving to Nats, and I got my butt handed to me because one game I didn't see Unison, so I didn't have Godsealing active, and that just sucked. But the other game was just, he has so many negates, and I'm like, what the hell is this Tapion doing for me? It's drawing 1 card a turn. Cool, that's great. That's 5k combo power. You know what else is 5k combo power? Swinging into someone with Baby Unison. So then I looked at the other effects. I'm like, okay, I'm not running any Spirit Boost effects, so the auto on Tapion doesn't matter. Then Tapion can, for +0, give your leader 10k. I'm like, that's cool when I'm trying to kill someone, but they can also just negate that swing. And I looked at Baby's -5, which is a lot harder to pull off. I 100% understand. But your leader gets 15k power double strike. You can counter, which means I will go back to the cards that I won all my games with now, because it did do a lot for me this weekend, and I want to make sure everyone is aware of this. -5 in Baby Unison, your leader, which is here, is now a 30k double strike. You can, so even on turn 5, you can swing with leader. Okay, you draw 1 on tap 1, but let's say they counter with Baby Ape. That's fine. And then you use Activate Battle, restand. Now, then you tap 2 for Beast Gohan, and then they God Seal because you're playing a Blue Mirror, and then you counter. Yes, this doesn't hit the field because it has unique, but you still counter. That still hits the field. You're getting a dual attack 30k double strike leader that untaps 1, draws 1. You get your 40k dual attack crit that's wiped their board and crit them a life, and you have a 30k baby ape that's a triple strike attack, and then I don't know. It's way too. And if you're playing against blue, you swing with that. You swing with this. They 8-drop Gohan you, and you're like, okay, cool, whatever. I'll tap 2 for this. Do it. I have another one on the field. It's so much pressure. It's just way too strong. As long as you apply pressure like at some other point in the game, and they go down to like 4, this will win the game. If you get them to 3, you win the game with this combo because you're gonna have like enough cards in hand just to combo stuff out. So this is the way I beat Kentasi. I beat 2 other blue Crimson players. I beat Soul Striker, which was essentially just a bad blue Crimson. I also should have won my second game in top 16, so the game 2, if I had just seen one of my Beast Gohans or one of my 4 super combos when I had, at the end of my turn, I had 7 cards left in deck and I hadn't seen one of them. So if I just saw one of those cards, I would have won. But I didn't, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. And then in game 3, if time hadn't been called, which I know time exists, but I had I had these 4 cards in my hand for my next turn after time. But I passed turn as time was being called, so I only got 1 turn in time. My opponent got 2. Um, and time was also extended by 10 minutes. So I just kind of got a little shafted with time. But that's the deck. To me, this is the Baby Unison is the best way to play the deck, because the other difference between Baby and Tapion is Tapion has 19k power, Baby has 15k power. If you're playing against green, you're not playing a Unison. If you're playing against red, you're not playing a Unison. Because there's just so much better things to do with your energy. So it says tap 2 for Striving, tap 1 for Shin, have energy open for Dirty Burst. And then the only other matchups is, okay, blue mirror and yellow. Sure. Yellow swings with a lot of 15ks. Just don't play a Unison. You don't need to God Seal anything. Against blue, God Seal's kind of nice because you can God Seal their Beast Gohan. However, you play this for 2. Play this for 3, tick it up to 5, okay? Tapion Unison, if you do that, they tap 2 for Piccolo, they swing twice at it. They pay 1 for Goku Black, they swing once to it, swing lead, combo 1 card in hand. Sure. That gets rid of Tapion. That exact same thing gets rid of Baby, except they keep 1 card in hand, which you got out by turning it sideways and attacking. So it is the exact same thing. And the only way it survives is either they don't attack it, or they don't see the pieces in hand, or you see negates to defend this. And either way, it just goes to low markers, and you can tick it up next turn. So I don't think it's needed. I think the only reason I would run this Unison is so I can tap 5. Well, if I have 2 in hand, I can tap 4 and slide 1 under, but that gets rid of too many cards in hand, so I can tap 3, tick it up, draw a card, force them to waste all their aggression to this, so my hand builds up for another turn, get cards out of their hand that they're attacking with, and then I make them use energy to get rid of this, and then my next turn go tap 5 minus 5. So yeah, I wholeheartedly think Baby's better. Now I'm going to do the worst transition in the world. Nope, that's not the one. This one, and then we're gonna Alt tab here, and I'm going to go into still screenshot mode. Oh, save and view deck. Let's do this. Give me a hot second to do this, and then I should be able to go. Ooh, creative. Nice. No, we won't do that. We'll go screenshot view. Alright, so we can just see every card in the deck. This is what I think an optimal Crimson list would look like for the mirror. Now, there's a couple cards which may be iffy, as you can see. So first of all, 4 Piccolos, I believe, is a must. I don't think this Goku Black's too good in the mirror. Yes, it can bottom deck a Piccolo if they sequence poorly, but you still have 2. The only other card it hits is Cell, which is great to hit. But you still have 2, so you can still hit Cell. You can also hit itself, but as again, you still have 2, so you can still hit it. I would like a 3rd Piccolo, just because, honestly, you can probably drop this down to, I just didn't see Piccolos. They can hit your opponent's big threats, which is nice, and it's a triple attack, which if they don't have Boo is actually pretty nice. Besides that, it's a pretty simple list up until you get down to pretty much this little bit here. I think, and you run 3 Baby Apes so you can see them, so you can have 2 in hand for the turn that you want to -5 with Baby. The deck has enough defense to survive up until that turn. Begrudging Allies, you don't have any other counterplays in the main board. This is just to hit your floodgates that you need to hit to put them low before you can -5 on Baby, or to hit your Beeruses or whatever you need to hit that doesn't have deflect. This Gohan in the mirror is amazing because you just get a free 20k dual attack that bottom decks a 5 or less, which I really 19k dual attack, which I just really like. I don't know how good the card actually is because 19k is just the same as a 15k dual attack, except it's harder to kill. But hey, it's a card to think about. I'm not 100% sold on it, and I'll show you the other card I would probably replace it for if I was to take it out. And then Meki. So Meki Gabora is one of my favorite cards that I have thought about in this deck, because it is viable in every single matchup. Against SS4 Gogeta or Sin, if you have Striving on the board, what are you afraid of? You're afraid of their Age drops, so you tap 2, you call their Age drops. It saves you from needing to see Dirty Burst on turn. Right? Okay. Moving on. in the mirror, what are you afraid of? You're afraid of their secret rare, or you're afraid of, like, on a particular turn, you could be afraid of a black smoke, you could be afraid of a cell, you could be afraid of a Beerus. Like, there's a bunch of different cards that you could be afraid of. So you can tap to you can declare this, and you can say, I don't want you to play that card. The other thing, activate main, search for a ball. Tried to play at least one pan of a Piccolo every game just so I could search my deck to see what's in my life. Yes, this will be later in the game, but you can make sure that those last couple cards that you're really trying to dig for are actually in your deck, which is amazing. And the big one with Mecha Gabora in the mirror, and this is massive in the mirror, with everyone running Beast Gohan, and everyone running this card, you're probably not going to Overrealm, swing, dump on Champa. But now you can tap 2 for Mecha, you can call 8 drop Sun Gohan, Overrealm, even get up to Champa to like 50k to get a bunch of cards out of their hand. They can't offensively or defensively play Beast Gohan or this 8 drop Gohan until your next turn, which is so good. Like, it's the same as God Sealing, right? Except they don't tap 2 and lose 2 cards in hand, but you just don't have to worry about them playing it. You don't have to have a Unison on board. You get a 15k swing out of it, which is lovely. You can spend more energy on Piccolos. You can, like, you don't have to try to defend a Unison. They will swing at your leader, so you can get down. Like, if you awaken at 6, you can get down to your Super Combo Rage, so you can have an offensive turn the turn after. It's just so much pressure. The other card I do want to talk about, which shout out to Reezy because he mentioned it in passing to me. It's this Bardock. Leader doesn't go plus in hand early. Leader only goes even. I have a lot of times just had, because of the I needed like a Z energy to play something, or the deck has a lot of activate battles that I wanted to play stuff on, but I didn't want to waste leader swing. Bardock allows you to discard it and draw a card. But if you really need to, you can activate main to send it from your drop to your warp to draw one if you're like in a situation where you kind of activate battle one too many times or something, or you just want to activate battle, get it in the drop, and then draw a card later, so you can do a strict plus because you got it into the drop pretty easily. It's a card to consider. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I think it's good as a 1 or a 2 off. You don't want to do it too early, of course. But hey, there you go. This is what I think you should be playing. Also ignore the name, but this is what I think you should be playing in Crimson for a mirror. And this sideboard is just kind of taking every other matchup into account. You still have to have God Sealing and Trunks in case you play against Blue Beerus, in case you play against any of those long blue decks. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I haven't done this in a while. Thank you for having me back. Thank you for watching this. If you have any recommendations, any other decks you want me to cover, I don't want to cover too many Crimsons. I will have the Tysons, the guy I stay with, top 16 list as well. I will potentially show you a cool blue-green list, which I'm going to try to play at locals this week. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.